being recorded too. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to let you know that I'm doing the first part of the presentation, and then Cindy Schmidt, who was going to be here, had a last-minute emergency and couldn't make it. So I've incorporated a couple of her slides. Might say a couple of things that she was going to say, and then Carrelle, Harris Fortune, will do the next part, and then I might come back and if there's time, I've got some students in the audience who are doing projects, OEM projects with us, who might want to come up and say something about their projects after you get a view of some of the stuff we're doing in our program. Okay. Oops. The first thing I want to do is set a little background for what we're doing and show you some progression. Starting around 1994, when I was an adjunct at Florida Tech and teaching undergraduate courses in ABA. There were a couple that I helped create. And I wanted to create a master's program because I wanted to spread ABA, and I also wanted to make sure that there were well-trained practitioners out there. That was the original mission of our program. And it took me about 4 years to get the university to buy into it, but in order to do so, I pretty much had to volunteer my time to do so. So I pretty much worked for peanuts, which was okay because I had a mission to accomplish. But by 2003, things had changed. And what had changed was, number one, is the program had been built up. And then a couple of other things happened. We got new administration. In 2002, I got a new dean, but in 2003, we got a new president and a new, we got a new president in 2002 also, and then a new provost in 2003. So over the period of 2002-2003, with a new dean and with the new president, we were able to build the program up. And I gave them a business plan. So I said, hey, this is what we're making now, this is what we can make next, this is what it's going to cost us. So they funded 2 additional faculty positions and made me full-time versus part-time. So we went from a part-time position to 3 full-time positions. That's when we got hired Dave Wilder and at the time Matt Norman, and we created an OEM track, and we created a program in Orlando. By 2006, we had created a more fully developed OEM program. But the thing is that by the time 2006 came around, very close to that between the two, I saw that the university, and I didn't put this in my slideshow because I don't want the university doesn't like those things to be put in print probably. But I run a business. I can see that the revenue from the programs that we created there, oops, I was trying to use the pointer and there's the pointer. These programs were bringing in revenue of almost $1.5 million. Okay. And 3 faculty positions and a secretary shared between us and 2 other departments does not make $1.5 million, right? And funding for our graduate students was pretty much non-existent. So something was wrong here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the problems that I faced in the next slide. So I'm going to give you the historical overview. So to try to rectify that, starting in 2006, but it didn't get on track until the end of March 2007. In fact, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary, 4-year anniversary. We started the ABA professional development programs, mostly online, but also live. By 2009, we had the Scott Center for the Autism Treatment and Research, and by 2009, we had a PhD program. But let me show you how that all interfaces. Here's the problems we had. For the 3 faculty members, we had between 60 and 65 master students, awful faculty ratio. We had lousy facilities for training and for research. And we didn't have much for funding for the master students. We wanted more. And we wanted to start a PhD program, but we wouldn't start one unless the students were fully funded in terms of no tuition, plus got a good enough stipend that they wouldn't have to work outside of the PhD program, so they could just be totally into the program. But we wouldn't do that unless we were given the funding to do it. But of course, we're not going to be given the funding out of that money that they're already bringing in, because they're already bringing it in, so we have to create more money, right? So solutions: bring in more income without increasing the number of degree-seeking students, because if we just increase the number of degree-seeking students, we're into the same problem, and in fact worse. So it doesn't make any sense to bring more students. In fact, the way we sort of put it, it wasn't very politically correct. It's like the degree-seeking students were the cows, and now we needed more chickens. We needed some chickens, we didn't have any chickens. Cows take up a lot of space and take up a lot of time and so forth. We needed some chickens. So, well, we developed an unlike professional development program. There's your chickens. But anyway, so, but beginning, I was the one who was all for this, but our estimable faculty, who some of you who you know well, object. Online instruction is totally worthless. Students will cheat. How will we know they're not cheating? We will be known as the ABA University of Peace. Yes, I will mention it. Well, we have to answer those questions too. So, but here's some predictions based on the research literature from other fields. By 2015, 25 million post-secondary students in the US will be taking classes online. And as it happens, the number of students who take classes exclusively on physical campuses will plummet from 14.4 to just 4.1 million over the next 5 years. How true that is, I don't know. They've got some predictions in terms of trends and so forth. And then there was a meta-analysis from that was done by the US Department of Education. We can trust it. They found out that students in online learning conditions perform better than those receiving face-to-face instruction, so that maybe people were exaggerating the problems, and they listed some of the factors. But I'm not going to. That Cindy was going to talk about that in more detail, because she's really into those issues. So how do we design, deliver, and teach online courses without compromising educational outcomes was the problem we had, and of course we had the other problems to deal with. Okay, solutions. We have a team approach fully supported by administration. Because in most universities, what happens when they ask faculty to develop online courses, typically a faculty member is told, hey, do you want this assignment? Or maybe they're given the assignment, and they maybe be given an overload to develop it or pay a little extra money. But then it becomes either one of the courses that they teach or maybe an overload for them, but they're given no support. It's like if it were a regular course. And I think there's a problem with that, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Besides that, we have to use a behavioral approach to instructional design. It can't just be, putting up some reading assignments and some other types of assignments for students to do, and have a little chat and email kind of stuff. That's the way a lot of online courses are taught. So we have to have a behavioral approach to instructional design and to instruction as well. We want to use highly interactive, high-tech methods to deliver instruction. And then, overall, we have to use OEM to get the best performance from everybody involved in the program. And of course, at a university, they're used to doing things a certain way, and it is hard to change things. So, this is what happened. Well, first of all, I told this to some of the administrators at the university. What is more important, entertainment or education? And I went to that. I'm not going to do that now. I went to a YouTube video, and I showed them the credits to a movie. Okay, all the people, all the gaffers, and all the actors, and all the stuff, all the hundreds of people that are involved in making an hour and a half to 2 hours of entertainment. And then, here's what we do in education. And you're lucky to get a teaching assistant. That's only you have a lot of students. We didn't have teaching assistants, because we only had 50 students per class or whatever. So, hey, that's pretty bad. So, but it takes a team. You need to have a lead professor who should be a content expert, who should be the instructor. But then that instructor needs to be part of or lead a curriculum team and an instructional team if you're going to do it right. It can't just be that. And I will talk more about those teams later in the presentation. Then we need a technology of teaching expert, which may be the same as a content expert. I happen to know a little bit about that, so I perform both roles. We need computer instructional technology expert and team, because if we're going to do things online, then we need the right supports for all that technological stuff, computers and web pages and all that stuff. Plus we need some support staff. We can't just rely on a half-time secretary. And then we need support from the administration. We need those. We need those. Okay. So how did we accomplish and how did we do this stuff? Well, okay. First of all, the administration at Florida Tech was very eager to start more projects. There had been somewhat of a decline in enrollment during the previous administration. The new president comes on board in 2002. He hires a new provost in 2003. And there was a call to create new programs that were good programs, but also brought more income to the university. Okay. And I have already created some programs that brought income to the university. So they have this call. They say, if any faculty member has an idea, bring it to us. And originally they thought that the idea was that maybe some faculty could do consulting, because there's a big college of engineering and lots of those people consult. They have greater consulting practice into the university, and we will actually make it so that we give you the supports, but we split the income, and but then we'll help you out in all kinds of ways. Well, they created this office called the Florida Tech Consulting. That's what it was called. And you know, I did not want to create the degree, the online non-degree program out of the School of Psychology, because my dean told me explicitly that if anything is created out of a regular academic department, out of a regular college, that okay, they're given, the School of Psychology as a whole is given a budget. And the university keeps most of the money for administrative supports. Or a little bit of money comes into the School of Psychology. And then the dean distributes it as she sees fit among the different programs, right? And I said, how's that going to benefit our program? That's not going to do it. Okay. So, because they had called for this Florida Tech Consulting to do consulting as a site, I had a business, APA Technologies, who used to do both client services and consulting, okay, but it also did training. And I had stopped doing the client services a while back. I had no time for it. I had stopped doing much consulting, no time for it either. But I was still doing a lot of training, which is my passion, to go out and spread behavior analysis from town to town. And I was still going around from town to town in Florida, spreading the faith. But anyway, so I said, so look, I'm going out. One week I go to, on Saturday I go to Orlando, another week I go to Gainesville, another week I go to St. Petersburg, another week I go here and there, and I'm just going around every Saturday teaching these classes. How about we bring our classes in, but do them online, so that we reach more students. So it's not really consulting, but I want a similar deal to what you're offering here, which is that you're not going to keep a lot of money. I said I'll develop the ABA online program, and by the way, I helped Penn State develop their online programs back in 1997 is when I got a contract, and I helped them in the early days. I still do a little bit for them. But, and I have the history of success with the other programs, so they trusted me to be able to do this. I said, I'll develop an ABA online program, and here's the business plan. But only if we do it my way. I don't want to do it otherwise. We have about teams, which we can gradually build. We start with just a couple of people, but then we build up. I'm in charge of hiring and firing. I can't have to go through all the bureaucracy here. I have to have a separate budget so that I can just create positions and then just advertise and fill them, and I don't want any interference with that. And then we're not going to pay the adjunct faculty teaching here or any of the other staff or the staff in a typical way. Oh, I told them about the sins of wages. and I say we need to evaluate in a different way than the student evaluations that you do at the end of the semester, and then everybody gets pretty much a 3% raise. No, it's got to be done differently. And then ABA will just give you 10% of the top here. We'll make enough money that you'll be happy with 10%. We get to keep the rest. And the rest is going to be toward the degree programs and the support of stuff like the Scott Center we wanted to create to do our training and research. And to support having the teams and the staff to do a great job of doing the online instruction. Well, took a lot of negotiation, but they did it. And from what my dean tells me, because even though my dean was not involved in the contract, because I wanted to do it separate from the School of Psychology, and I was doing it to explore the tech consulting branch, which now we switched to where we do it for probably more. But essentially, what my dean says, you create programs that are bringing in about $1.5 million from them. You get other stuff online that's coming that's big for the university, and they know that they don't pay you very well, and that for 4 years they didn't pay you much at all. So they're throwing you a little bone so you can be happy. And they figure that at least they'll make some money because they get the 10% of the top. And they're not going to spend more money than they bring in. You get a budget for them. So they figured, okay, they'll stay happy. Little did they know what was going to happen. once we do things the behavioral way. So administration never expected the results. And now it's being used as a model for others. It went through several stages as to who it reported to, but eventually the person who became our administrator, because I didn't want to be the administrator, I'm the program director, but I'm not going to do all the administrative nitty-gritty, got promoted to create a whole division that will have programs like this one, this being the original and flagship program, but she now reports to the VP of Academic Affairs, and it's a big deal, and they want to have copycat programs. Okay, but just to show you the results that we were able to achieve, when we started advertising this back in late 2006 to start March 31st, we have 175 students enrolled. And as you see the growth, now currently we have 1,281 students enrolled in the program. So that is quite a bunch of growth. This brings more money than the other program. That's not I created. I don't believe this how much. But anyway, we have students all over the world. This is just a sampling during one term where we had students. In fact, that term we didn't have the people. We have like 6 people in Nigeria taking it, so they're not there. So anyway, we have spread, even though it's mostly in the U.S., it's in other parts of the world. And and by the way, the only state in the U.S. where we've never had a student is North Dakota. Raymond Miltenberger must have taught them all the ABA they needed when in all those years he was out there. But Cindy Schmidt tells me that if there's anybody from North Dakota who wants to take our online courses, they're going to be for free. So if you know anybody in North Dakota, send us our way. But anyway, now we wanted quality courses that provided to many students. We wanted funding for the MS and PhD students. We got that. Project and funding for OBM students. OBM students, the poor guys and women, they would have to do projects for free. And that was wonderful, but for the most part, now they had gotten them a gig at one place that actually paid them. But most of them, the OBM projects were for free. We wanted to be able to fund those OBM projects, and we do. Okay, now, support for administration and for more faculty. Now, instead of just having 3 faculty, we have 10 faculty. And those are for the degree programs, and not for the online programs. So we also have some part-time faculty lines in degree programs who get rest of support from the ABA online. So we're able to hire part-time people, because we are funding them partially through the online program. Okay, so how did we do it? We have the curriculum, an instructional design team, and it used to be just me, then Kristen Myers joined us, and I appointed her chief of that, and then a team of people working on that. The technology team is Cindy Schmidt and her team. The support staff is also Cindy Schmidt, her team, she's the administrator. And then the instructor training and evaluation, and they is Carrelle Harris-Fortune, who's going to speak in a short amount of time here. And then curriculum instructional design, we use direct instruction, program instruction, highly active student funding. The computer technology, we have all kinds of things there, but I'm just going to show you like one thing. Because I don't have time to get into the details, that's what Cindy was going to get into, but it also collects data for us too. That's a remote proctor device to make sure students do not cheat. It shows that it's the student who's taking the test and not somebody else, and it monitors their movements and it videotapes it. So we can see, and it flags suspicious academic activity. Let's see, SAD, suspicious, what is it, Kristen? Well.
We can't put an actor in. Now we don't
Yeah, what's SAD?
We didn't want to say you.
The student academic dishonesty, SAD. I knew that we were going, oh, it's SAD. But it's suspected academic dishonesty, that's what it is. We go on by the acronym and then we forget what we meant. But we also were very sad stuff. And then we have this is the little spy machine and that protects us from cheating. But we have a lot of stuff. But the instructional teams, at first Jose and some active co-instructors. Next, Carrelle had worked with us while she was a grad student from the beginning of the program, even before we started it. But then as soon as she graduated in December of 2007, then we graduated her to as a full-time. I call her co-instructor manager. The university calls her co-instructor coordinator. They don't like the word manager for some reason. I like the word manager, so that's what I call her. She's a manager. Okay, then we added lead co-instructors so that courses could have people who were leads, because I couldn't be the lead for all of them when we had that many students. And then we hired assistant lead co-instructors. Mylin is somewhere back here. There's Mylin, I see you. Okay, like Mylin to be assistant lead co-instructors. So we have a support team for this program. It's not just me teaching a class and separate. So before the co-instructor manager, Carrelle did her OBM projects with us as students and set up some of our systems, OBM systems, for evaluating and rewarding co-instructor performance. And when she graduated, we hired her. So now here is Carrelle to tell you the nuts and bolts of our OBM system that we got in place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my first conference presentation. If I weren't screaming from the room from nervousness, you'll know why that happened, but I'm going to try not to. I'm going to be talking to you about the co-instructors today and the performance matrix that we use in maintaining a high level of behavior. Okay, all of our co-instructors are VCVAs. That's one requirement. They're approved by Dr. Martinez-Diaz and they're often identified by him. Jose knows everybody and he has an opinion and an evaluation of everybody. So when he sends somebody my way, it's because he really thinks that they can do it. So that's the first thing. So we're not starting off with a group of people who are not able to teach. We're starting off with a group of people who are very likely going to do a good job. He also takes some suggestions from the lead, the assistant lead, other co-instructors who may know somebody who might be interested to teach and would be a good person. At this present time, for the term that's just about wrapping up right now, we have 24 co-instructors. We have 3 of them are lead co-instructors and they provide additional, they work also, they have full-time positions and they teach and they also work in different areas as well, like curriculum. And they also are the ones who will provide feedback to the co-instructors and one-on-one help if that is necessary at any time. Okay, the other thing that we have is co-instructor training. So after we have this good group of people coming in, we also make sure that they're adequately trained. One thing that they do have to do is participate in the course of their choice as a student. That means they have to take all of the tests, they have to attend online meetings, they have to do the final exam. The ASRs stands for Active Student Responding Exercises. They're basically multiple choice questions that the students have to answer before they actually can take the tests. The co-instructors also get training on the policies and procedures, students' policies and procedures, so that they can therefore go out and advise their students when the time comes. And also on their duties and responsibilities. They also get training on Angel, which is the learning management system that we use, where all of the information is, all the videos are and everything. And they also get Adobe training. So at this point, let me just explain to you a little bit about how the course itself works. The students every week have to watch a certain number of videos. They're about 5 hours to 10 hours in length. And they have ASRs to answer. And before they take their test, they have the option of meeting with they are required to meet with their co-instructors every week for an hour. And this allows them to ask any questions they may have, hear additional explanations and examples in preparation for taking their test, and a more long-term goal to becoming a really good behavior analyst. The last thing in terms of training that's particularly important is the mock meeting that every co-instructor has to do. This allows us to see how people are actually going to be in the classroom. And the comment that I have gotten on more than one occasion is, man, this is a hard way to start. I have all of the leads there looking at me. I have you looking at me. Man, that's a hard way to start. But honestly, if the co-instructor in training can get through this, the students are going to be less of an issue. And we don't want the co-instructors to be practicing on the students. By the time you get in front of a student, you need to feel confident about what you're doing. Okay, so the performance matrix. As Jose said, I started working on this before I graduated, and the first performance system that we came up with, me and another student, was a little bit more rudimentary, was a little bit more basic. And then I was reading Abernathy, Managing Without Supervising, and I went, aha, I can do something with that. And that is when we started to implement it. He describes it as a conversion table that allows several performance measures to be included in the computation of an overall performance index. And I will show you what it looks like, and I'll give you an example. So if you're not familiar with it, just hang on for a second. But I just do want to let you know that we use the matrix and other feedback and data that we collect for performance improvement. It points out, it shows very clearly where problems may be for each co-instructor, and then we can work on it. We can do the one-on-one training, and I also have an example of one-on-one training, how it worked with one particular co-instructor that we will be going through. It also ensures, which I really like, that there's a balanced performance. There's more than one factor in becoming a good co-instructor, and it allows that and it makes sure that the co-instructors, or it discourages them or encourages them to not only look at one particular area, they need to look at more than one, and I'll show you exactly how that works. And then we also use it for the bonus fee. And this, I think, really contributes to our positive workforce, which people like Daniels has said on multiple occasions that this is an important thing to foster, because we're not basing their bonus fee on how we feel about them, and what we think about them, or what we think they're doing right or wrong. We're trying to really pay based on their performance in the subjective way, in an objective way, sorry. Okay, so the measures on the performance matrix must be observable. As behavior analysts, we need to be able to see the behavior to measure it. It needs to be objective, it needs to be measurable. This is something that's particularly important because we're trying to develop one area of the scorecard of the performance matrix, which I'll get into a little bit later. And the difficulty that we're having, the challenge, is in the measurable part. Because there's some intangibles that, like enthusiasm and that sort of thing. Ways that people would describe their instructor that really, when it comes down to actually trying to measure it, is the bane of my existence. And then it also has to be controllable. We can't be having performance pay based on something that the co-instructors have no influence on. So the measures that we have, let me start off with the discussion board. So in addition to having the videos, the ASRs, the tests, we also, and the actual meetings every week, we also have discussion boards. And it's basically an online post where students post their questions and then they have the opportunity of getting responses from fellow students and also from co-instructors as well. And we need, therefore, our co-instructors to really participate in this, so that it's as rich as possible. Because as we all know, something that is explained one way is sometimes understandable only when somebody else explains the same thing. So we want everybody to be involved in it, and that's why it's on the matrix. Online meetings hosted. As you can expect, they're supposed to host their class. But if they cannot do it, everybody has different things that are happening. I actually have gotten calls from people on the highway saying I cannot make it to class. But we have put into place various measures for that. If you can't make it to class, call one of the leads, call myself, and we will make sure that at least your students know what's going on. And have you subbed any meetings? Now, of course, there's social reinforcement available for subbing for a fellow co-instructor, but we also added it in here for an extra little push. There are also checklists, which is basically a sheet, and we use this sheet to prompt the co-instructors to do certain things, to check on their students, to list whether they've subbed for anyone or whether they have had to have subs themselves. Also to list any technical difficulties. And this is particularly important because without the technical support, without Adobe, we can't teach. It's just not possible. So we need to be able to know what the difficulties are and get them fixed as soon as possible, and also have a record of it. There's also the online meeting scorecard. It's completed by observers just checking in to make sure that, that the co-instructor is doing what they should be doing. They're looking for whether or not explanations were given, examples provided, questions answered, whether active student response exercises were used. This is what we're presently trying to develop, and this is where we're really trying to get to those other less tangible or less easily described things really comes in. I won't be going into much detail, to any more detail into this for now. If you're interested, you can see me later, but this could be an entire presentation on its own. We also have student satisfaction. Sometimes people feel a little bit like maybe they feel it should not be there, but we have to remember that we're a business, and we have to have people like us. And we need to know if they don't like us, why don't they like us? Because if they don't like us, they're not going to come back, they're not going to say anything about us to their friends. So they really do like us. They, of course, need to pass. We want them to go ahead and pass. That's very important as well. And we do take that into consideration. But we do have student satisfaction because we do need that subjective measure. It's the only real place where it's kind of the accepted place for it to be. Okay, so this is the performance matrix. This is from Abernathy. Other people have also used and made reference to it, Daniels and others. At the very top, this is a conversion scale. So it basically relates each measure to each other, and it allows the total measures for a performance index to be created. Okay, so you have the weightings, and the weightings came about basically talking with Jose and other members of our management team as to how we really wanted to do this. Okay, here's an example. Assume that the black and white indicates the performance of co-instructor Z. In order to actually get the score at the very end, you multiply the corresponding area of the conversion scale by the weighting to get this score. So this one's pretty easy because it's the 100. So 100 times 15% is 15. Okay? On the other hand, down here, you would multiply, you go up, and you would multiply from the conversion scale 30 times the 5.5% and get 1.5. You would add everything together to get the overall index or overall score. And then you would calculate the bonus by taking this as a percentage, multiplying it by the total bonus, and getting how much bonus pay that the person has earned. So in this way, this person can look very, very quickly and say, okay, well, I did very well with most things. I need to work on getting my checklist in on time in order for my bonus pay to go up. Does that kind of make sense to folks? Okay, great, I'm seeing some nodding.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And you did say that that figure is just a made-up figure, the $100,
yeah,
because they get a lot more than
no,
$100 for the bonus pay.
We're not stopping anybody. Bonus is this is made up. Okay, so this just shows how the overall scores, the average scores of all of the co-instructors in each of these terms is shown here. And you can see that there's a very nice little upward trend going on here. There's also a nice little upward trend on this one. I'm giving it to you one graph per course, so you just have an idea of how people are doing. Now, just to let you know that there might be some people who are teaching, a lot of people who teach more than one course, but I'm giving you the averages just to give you an idea. Here too, this one has a little bit more variability, but I think it's just a matter of any new co-instructors came in. Here, I gave the results from when I started to work, and when it was this particular matrix was implemented.
Well, July 06, right? Or what year is that?
No, from when I worked full time.
Or when you were starting to work?
I took better data and records after I started to work full time.
Okay.
So I gave it at that point. And here as well. So we have maintaining a very high level for the most part. And this also takes into consideration some people leave, some people come back. This is just the average score. Okay, I'm going to get into a few things, but remember this upward trend, we'll get back into it. Okay, but one-on-one training. There was a particular co-instructor who was not doing so hard. And one way of dealing with this would be just not assign them. You know, get somebody else, replace them. But we're behavior analysts. We can do better than that, if possible, yeah? So we worked with him and we realized that there were two issues. He was having trouble with his presentations and his style of presenting, and he also had considerable technical issues, which was reflecting very badly on him. So we implemented over 2 terms training with his actual academic presentations, and also with the technical issues that he was having over this. And as you can see, what the result was. So here we have an example of we're not only teaching behavior analysis, but we're using it as well. Okay, now here's an interesting one that made me really want to collapse when I saw it. I got this email and really, I could have used a drink. Because we're taught so much about feedback, you know, and I'm not knocking feedback by any means, but sometimes it doesn't quite do what you want it to do. And we have to realize that whatever we're implementing, we have to realize that every fully functioning adult who's coming to us with a full history of reinforcement and punishment. And one co-instructor hurts me. You know, in the past, people have just left me alone when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And when I got this feedback from you, even when it looked like I was doing well from the feedback, which she was, she just totally freaked out. She totally freaked out. Because I'm getting something, somebody's looking at what I'm doing, and every time this has happened to me in the past, or I have a previous history, that means I'm not doing something well. And this is where the positive work environment that Daniels and others talk about. Because what was fortunate about this, I had been paired with enough reinforcement in the past, and she was therefore comfortable enough with me to be able to come to me and say so, and we were able to work it out. Talk about it, I was able to reassure and so on. And sometimes we forget people's feelings being behavior analysts, but I think it's something very important. Because if you don't feel comfortable enough with people to come to them with problems or what you're not getting or what the feedback, then really the desired result is not going to be the same. And like Aubrey Daniels was saying yesterday, that if you're giving somebody some sort of reinforcer that's supposed to be a reinforcer or reward, but it's coming from somebody that they quite frankly don't like or don't think really cares about them in any way, then it's not going to have the same effect. So I'm not saying that you're going to be, or I am, buddy-buddy with everybody, but I think the idea is to treat everybody as a human being and with respect, and hopefully when you put things into place, it'll make more of a difference. Okay, so co-instructor retention. So everything that I said before hopefully has contributed to this. There are other things, of course, that people working for us enjoy, like being able to keep their full-time jobs and also work for us, which is actually an advantage to us because it means that we have people teaching for us who not only know the academics but also are applying it on a day-to-day basis. And also they can work from home, that sort of thing. But contributing to that is definitely our pay system and our positive environment. The times when you do see little dips, it's when we have lost people, but for the most part we have not lost anybody because of the fact that they went stalking off and were really upset with anything. They went off because maybe their job requirements changed and they couldn't stay with us. Even some people who have had that happen, I got a call a couple of days, hey, I'm looking forward to coming back. My job situation changed again. Can I get back on board? There's probably one case that I can think about where the person was given a forced break, and even then they were allowed to come back. There was one other time due to the changing in our setup with hiring and our plans with that, one other person had to take another break, but hopefully they will be coming on board again. So generally, it really looks, the data shows that we tend to be making people happy in the co-instructor position, which is good as well. And none of that would really be useful, I guess, to tell you, unless I could tell you, look at our enrollment. Just like how Jose showed before. Now, of course, the co-instructors are a very big factor of this. They're not the only factor. We have other staff, we have support staff, we have the tech staff, we have other people. It's a group effort, and it's hard to tease out the effects of one from the other. But students spend a lot of time with their co-instructors. They have the opportunity to email them, to spend time with them at the online meetings, and it really is a contributing factor to the fact that we have broken 1,000, which was quite an accomplishment for us, and it keeps going up. So thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, please let me know.